Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Run Your Day podcast. Dan Hafner joining you here today, my friends. The topic is this: how to be okay with you. As always, thank you all for joining. Appreciate you guys coming on today. So, before I get started, I gotta say I apologize a little bit. I got fall allergies for some reason. I never get fall allergies, so if I sound a little nasally and congested, that is why. But I'm gonna grit through it, and we're gonna get this shit done. So, wanted to come on today and talk about this topic of just how to be okay with you. And I think a lot of us tend to, at least me, I know, I kind of fell into a trap a lot of my life where I only looked at the negative. Especially when I realized this in a job interview one time, when the person was asking me like, "How do you describe yourself in this situation? How do you describe things that you've done, when this situation came up, or how would you handle that type of thing?" And I reverted to a lot of negative things, and I didn't even notice until they pointed that out. They're like, "Do you realize like you just say a lot of negative, like that's all that comes out of your mouth?" And I was like, "Huh." Well, shit. You're right. You're absolutely right. And it was kind of a watershed moment for me, because I kind of realized that I had done that for a lot of my life, and I think a lot of that had to do with just a level of ownership that I didn't take for myself. Like I just had a lot of stories in my mind that were kind of I was using to blame for my lack of results or why I didn't have what I wanted or why I hadn't achieved the success that I thought I had wanted to achieve. Right. And there is, like I said before, there's a level of ownership that comes with owning where you are. And I think a lot of us shy away from this a lot of times in our life because it's just ugly. Like it if you are in a situation in life where you're just not happy with how things are going, whatever area of your life it is, maybe it's your body. Maybe you're in a place where you're just not happy with your body image. You're not happy with what you weigh, what you look like, a certain feature of your body, whether it's internal or external. Um, Probably external. Like a lot of us look at ourselves in the mirror and we just maybe we don't like what we see. Maybe you have a lot of self shame around your body. You know, Being okay with how you look and how you feel takes time. Like it takes time, and I think we're getting to a place as a society now where people are a lot more of accepting of people with different body types and images and stuff. Like now you can go into a mall and you see plus size stores for women and stuff like that. That should never happen when I was a kid. I mean, I'm not that old, but like, you never like it was all Victoria's Secret type women. And they portrayed this picture of like the perfect skinny woman and it was all photoshopped. It was all bullshit. We all know that. But like, there's a lot more of a movement towards that. And I think it's great. Like, I really do. But like being okay with, how your body looks and how it feels can be a tough thing. Like I even still carry around some kind of, self-consciousness around different parts of my body where I just know there's more fat that's carried, right? Like there's just certain areas of my body where like no matter what I do, no matter what I work out, no matter how good I eat, like there's just places where just fat just gravitates to, right? But once I learned to just be like, hey, you know what? Like, that's okay. Like, I don't have to look like Dwayne Johnson. Like I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that type of body type. I'm not committed to that type of fitness routine, and I don't need to be. Like, I need to be able to maintain what I need to do for my life, and that's what works for me, right? And maybe you're in a place where you're not happy with a relationship that you're in, or a career you're in, or where your business is at, where your income is. Um, and I went through this process in pretty much every area of my life, and I feel like I'm still going through this process in a couple different areas of my life of just learning to be okay with where I am. Like in our society, we tend to compare a lot, right? Like this is the social media effect in full effect. Keeping up with the Joneses, looking at what other people are doing, and there's there's this comparison factor that comes in. And I think I'm probably gonna end up stealing a couple things from the Ed Mylett show, which I was just listening to the other day, and he talked about this as well, but this is kind of my own spin on it, was this when we compare ourselves to others, it's just a recipe for disaster and unhappiness. Like it's that simple. And I get caught up in that a lot, and I have to still remind myself, like, hey, no, like focus on you, focus on where you are, and don't worry about other people. Like we see all kinds of people on TV. You see people that are super successful business owners. Like take the NFL's back now. Like look at Robert Kraft, look at Jerry Jones, look at all these different owners that just have like crazy financial success in their life. And like, we make decisions like we're armchair quarterbacks, like we know what they should be doing. Like, dude, you don't know what's best for that team. I don't care how involved you are. Like you are not the owner. You don't have the insight. You don't have the skin in the game like they do. You know what I mean? And we get to this place where we compare ourselves, compare our knowledge, compare what our certain circumstances in life are, and it creates this unhappiness, which leads you to not being okay with where you are. Because there's this alter reality, there's this fake reality out there that's just, it might not be real. Just because you see somebody doing something on the weekend on Facebook that looks fun, like they're having great family time, they're doing something that's really, really cool that you wanted to do forever. Like you don't know. You don't know. They might be fighting as they're taking that picture. There might be a ton of resentment in that relationship that you see of that couple on the beach, but you just have no idea. Like there's so many different things at play that we create these stories when we see these pictures or see these videos of people online, and it all comes back to this comparison. Like you think like it's just how our brains are wired. You're just kind of like, "Oh, well, man, like I wonder if I could do that, or why is my life not like that?" And on the one hand, like that reality might not be real. But on the other hand, if that reality is real, you're just not taking the necessary actions to create that reality. And maybe that's a sign for you to fix some things. Maybe it's a sign that you just are looking in the wrong places. Like I don't know what your particular situation is, but for me at least, I've found a lot of times when I catch myself doing this, I just have to remember like, well, is am I comparing? Yes. Is this making me unhappy? Yes. Okay, then what can I do to just not worry about this? Keep scrolling, close Facebook, just turn it off, right? Or Instagram or whatever it might be. I'm not saying these platforms are bad. Like they're great. They're a great tool. Social media is a great tool used in the right way. But I think a lot of us have, especially me, and maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm just talking about my own situation to myself. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't have this problem, and I'm just wasting your time. But for me, like I got into a couple years of my life where I just was very negative about things. I focused on the negative because I was just caught in this comparison game. Like I thought at a certain age, I was supposed to be making a certain amount of money. I was supposed to, um, you know, be married and living in a certain place. I had this script for how my life was going to go. And then it didn't go that way. And I saw other people living that same or relatively the same type of script of life that I thought was going to be mine. And it led to unhappiness. It led to me not being okay with me and the shit that happened to me and the choices that I made, right? That's where the ownership comes in. You have to go back and realize that like, you made the decision that you made about whatever thing in your life at the time because of the story you were telling yourself at that time. And maybe that story's not relevant anymore. Like maybe that level of ownership that you had at that point in time just wasn't there. And now you realize and you recognize like, no, I made the wrong decision, or that was a stupid, clouded decision that I made, and I didn't have that level of ownership. And maybe going forward, I can take a different level of ownership and make a different decision and try to move away from this comparison game and stop creating unnecessary unhappiness for myself and those around me. So, yeah, it's comparison is a dangerous game, my friends. It's a one-way path to just misery and just stupidity, honestly. I mean, and like I said, none of us are perfect. We all will get caught up in this from time to time, but just remembering that you are you. You were made unique. And whether I'm not going to make this religious, whether you believe in God or a God or whatever religion you follow, or maybe you don't follow any at all. You were still created as like you are you. You are uniquely you. And it took me a long time to realize, like, man, like, excuse me, um, that I'm me, and I'm not wrong. I'm not broken. I don't need fixed. Like I'm just Dan. Like I'm just Dan. And I'm the best version of Dan that there ever was for Dan Hafner. And that gives you a level of comfortability. It gives you a level of ownership. And you stop comparing. And once I stopped comparing, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm pretty freaking awesome. And it's not like a bang your chest like, oh, look at me, I'm so cool. It's just acceptance. It's like, yeah, like this is just how I am. This is who I am, and it's not right or wrong. It is what it is. And you can change that. That's the beauty of it. Is like, okay, maybe there's a part of you that you don't like. You can change that by consciously changing your habits, changing your effort, right? But if you just like the way it is, then that's great. That's who you are. That's who you are. Own it, be happy with it, and accept it. Accept it and be grateful for it. Comparison is a dangerous game. So just learn to be accepting of who you are. The world needs more of you. And don't compare. Just don't compare to people outside of your circle, outside of your level of influence. That they went through the same things you went through in a different way, in their own way. And there's no reason to compare. All you should be comparing yourself is to you that was the past you. Are you better than you used to be? Are you different than you used to be? You are? Great. Or you've regressed? Well, you need to fix some stuff. That's it. That's all it is. Compare you to you. Okay? So that's going to wrap up the show today. As always, appreciate you guys coming on here. A quick note, please, if you do like the show, please leave me a review on iTunes. Really appreciate that. It helps grow the visibility and reach of the podcast to people just like you and me that can use this for their life benefits. So go leave me a review. Would really appreciate that. And head over to runyourday.run, as always, for additional resources, tools, and become a member of the Run Your Day podcast. All right, my friends, Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day.